Hello guys and gals, welcome to my video on how to remove the CVT, which consists of the kickstarter, the CVT cover, the clutch, the belt, and your variator. So we're going to do a detailed video on how to remove this and reassemble it. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is remove the kickstarter. You do that by removing this bolt right here. It's a M6 flange bolt. Okay, so you may need your mallet, tap it a little bit, it comes right off. Put your bolt back in there so you don't lose it. You don't need to tighten it all the way down. Set this off to the side. Next up, we're going to remove the actual CVT cover. Consists of M6 flange bolts. You've got one down here, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had to reposition the motor block so you guys could see it in the video, all the bolts. Here we go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. These bolts, that one you do not need to remove. That one you do not need to remove. This one is your gearbox drain or fill. This is your drain. You do not need to remove those either. When you remove these bolts, they are not the same length, so it's a good idea to keep track of where you remove them from. I happen to have a spare CVT cover, and I'll be putting the bolts in the spare cover as I pull them out. So let's get started. One. Pay attention, do not lose your clips or where they go to. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this one's being stubborn. And 9. This one had a plate with these 2 bolts. And last one. Tap with your mallet. Just tap lightly. Now, pull it off slowly in case anything falls off. And here you go. There's the inside of your CVT cover. Pay attention right here. This is your Kickstarter bushing. That thing's prone to falling out. Now we're going to go on to removing the CVT, which is this, and the clutch, which is this part. You do that, there's a 17mm flange nut and a washer, and a 17mm flange nut on this. I'll be using the impact to remove it. If you want to take note, just for reassembly, how many threads are sticking out. I'm trying to get it to focus, but I cannot. Just to give you an idea, there we go. There are 2 threads sticking out on this one, and over here on the CVT, or variator drive face, this is your drive face, the one that I'm touching with the fans. But anyways, back to what I was saying. It looks like there's only 1 thread sticking out on this one. That's about how far you need to rethread it down. This is a brand new engine. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab this belt, squeeze it, and we're going to pull it down into this clutch. Wow. Sounds like I'm going to the bathroom. I'm sorry, but okay, and I'll be right back. That's too hard to do with just one hand. I can't get it all the way down in there from where I am. Okay, so I'll be right back. But anyways, squeeze your belt down. See how loose that is? That'll make it so when you take this off, your belt slides right off. So I'll be right back. To assist in the removal of the variator, I'll be using this, a variator holder tool. It's adjustable. You can open and close it. It's got different peg sizes on the different sides. Basically, you just install it, or not install, but insert it in those 2 holes. Whoops. It helps to have your impact turned to the right way. Now we're going to remove the variator drive face. Don't lose your washer. You've got your washer and your 17mm flange nut. This is your drive face. Notice how it's concaved on one side. This side, notice the blades. That's for your fan. That brings cool air in and helps everything stay nice and cool. Now we're going to remove the belt. The belt that's on here, 842-2030. Another belt that will also work with the long case, 835-2030. Next up, I'm going to remove the old gasket. Now, The engine has these little dowel pins. They're also called case guides or guide pins. Basically, they go in your case and they help for realignment when you reinstall it. There's one here, one here. Make sure you don't lose those. Any gasket material that's left over, it's a good idea to scrape off. This isn't a gasket that retains fluid, so it's not super critical. So you could probably even reuse this. I will not be though. But anyways, make sure you always remove your old gasket material, irregardless if you're going to reuse the gasket or whatnot. I'm just going to get a quick measurement on how much the spline comes up. Once again, I just wanted to make sure. I've done this once. I just want to make sure I get it again. .36. Now that ain't right. Just a minute ago it read 6.96. I re-zeroed it and started again. I'm going to do this one more time. Sorry guys. .69. That's roughly what I was getting. I would go with 6.5 to 6.75. Final word, 6.5 to 6.75. Now, we're going to remove the boss and variator. Be careful when you pull your variator out. The insides, the pillow blocks, and your rollers will come out and they'll fall all over the place. So, get your hands behind there and make sure you hold it closed like this. Pull it out. These little black things right there, them are your pillow blocks. This is your boss. Kind of looks like a giant spacer. And this is your actual variator. The other part is your drive face. It's not always sold as one unit. In fact, people get performance drive faces because sometimes these don't match. This will be bigger and the drive face will be smaller, vice versa, and they get bigger ones, or they just get bigger altogether. And this is the inside of the variator. I'm trying to show you without letting them spill out. These are your ramps, them little valleys. And these are your actual roller weights. Next up, I'm going to remove the clutch and the clutch bell housing. This is the bell housing. The clutch is back here. Doesn't take much, comes right off. I stripped out a crank trying to put it back on. God, that's the second time I dropped one of those. Then just grab your clutch assembly, pull it off. This is your bell housing. This is your clutch. These are your clutch pads. Inside there, that spring that my finger is touching right in there, that is your main clutch spring. That determined at a specified RPM, that pushes out and engages these clutch pads, which expand out, making contact with the surface of in here, making the whole thing turn. The washer is an M12 flat washer, M12 flange nut. Next up, we're going to remove the kickstarter assembly, the big gear and the little gear. This is your actual kickstart gear. We'll get to that in a little bit. That is very hard to remove. You need a special tool to remove it, some kind of puller. So, in order to remove your kickstart assembly, you're gonna take this flange bolt off. It's an 8mm flange bolt, and remove your plate. Then this spring right here, the spring arm, you'll remove off here, and then watch it. It's under pressure, and it'll come over and release the tension, and then you'll be able to pull it off. Then this one, wiggle it around a little bit, and it'll come off. It's pretty simple. Now, what I do for reinstallation is I mark them. Okay? The mark right here. Wow, that's loud. 1 second. Now, what I was saying was I marked them so I know exactly where they go. I have a red Sharpie here. That one to that one. Then I come over here, and then I mark these. Sorry, I was pointing the camera down. I got distracted. I did it again. So anyways, get you some good marks on there. So when you reinstall it, it'll be very simple to remember. Now remove your kickstart spring arm plate. That's it. Now, I need a different tool. Okay, got just some regular old pliers. And that's it. Then, pull that out. Make sure you don't lose your bushing. There's a washer on here. Very skinny, very odd size. Make sure you don't lose it. That goes on behind the CVT cover. Remove this part. And the last piece we'll have to remove is the actual Kickstarter gear. I'm going to have to get that set up in the puller. Step 1. Slide your puller on. It's a tight fit. Okay, it's got to go behind your gear, like so. I'll get a close-up of that. See, you get it behind your gear. Now you slide your other side on. Make sure you go behind your gear. And then you put your nuts on. Once you get them all the way threaded down, tighten them down a little bit. Don't go too much. If you go too much, it will start coming in, like it'll fold in like that. So, once you get it good and behind your gear, next step, put these in here. Thread them all the way down. Now, this is your last piece. Is what you do is, you see this? You turn this, and as you turn it, that comes out. So, is what you're going to do, notice there's a little ball in it. And the end of your crankshaft right here, see that little hole? That ball has got to go in that hole. These will go on these bars we just installed. Get it nice and lined up. Install your washers. Put your nuts on. Snug everything up. Now we're going to remove the Kickstarter gear. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to put a mark on my crankshaft exactly how far back it was. Doing this will just help me know how far it needs to go back when I reinstall it. Okay. Now, once your gear puller is set up and installed, in my case I have a 17-inch wrench. You're going to turn it clockwise, and as you do, the bar is going to go down and it's going to pop this Kickstarter off. Careful, it'll startle you. It startles me almost every time. Ta-da! It pops right off. And that's it. And this is it. Right here. This is the Kickstarter gear. It's a real royal pain to have to go through all that. Just, you know, set that up just to remove this one little gear. You'll notice it's beveled on one side. That side goes towards the inside of the case. So that's it for the removal of your CVT, your clutch, your variator, your kickstart gear, your kickstart lever mechanism, the whole shebang. I hope you join me for part 2 for the reinstallation. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you learned what you wanted to watch, or what you wanted to learn by watching this video. If you liked it, give me a like. I appreciate it, you guys. Thanks a lot.